it's okay. If we mess up, I can chop those bits out and string them together again.
But then you lose the authenticity.
Depends on how bad we mess up.
How authentic do you want
That's right,
it?
right, right. So this is the purpose of this meeting, purpose of this webinar is to just show people some good practices for using Impact, which is just recently released. And Rod and Monica, you guys were instrumental in the research and the creation of this tool. So, Rod, could you kind of give us a background of what you do? And
Absolutely. Director of Corporate Development here at Chaos, and obviously with a title like that, you can throw almost anything into the mix. But
Fiddlestick.
um, a lot of what I do is about thinking about what's next. Next, as far as products, next, as far as strategic partnerships with various entities, next, as far as meeting the needs of our customers. And so, one of the big items that we heard from a lot of people as a major pain point was building performance simulation,
Right.
energy modeling being a big part of that. And so, taking that, I've been involved in development of Impact, really from the initial concept creation to securing the partners, to
Yeah.
ushering this through to now it is a commercially available product.
Perfect. Yeah, I love the idea that you could be looking at Enscape and have this beautiful real-time rendering of the project right next to your design file, and you can flick a button and see energy analysis. It's like, oh, I don't have to move my head.
Uh,
It's all here. It's
you,
great.
you know,
It's great.
it's funny to see it now, and you're like, well, of course we have something like that, and sort of reality has manifested itself. But when we first had this concept and we showed it to people, there was absolute disbelief that it would ever even be possible to do.
Fine.
And
That's
so to see this now
aim
actually
high.
available, it's very satisfying.
That's great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Monica, give us a little backstory on yourself. What do you do?
Sure. So I am a researcher with Chaos. I've been involved in the kind of impact product since its beginning, doing all
Great.
the research, preliminary research, figuring out kind of the best uses, how people want to use it, the workflows for building performance, things like that. I've been involved in quite a few of the webinars since its
Yep.
release, kind of generating content for that and making sure we're continuously moving forward with improving this product to kind of fit in with the workflows.
Oh, great. So, as I've been kicking the tires on this during the Christmas break, um, I got really unexpected results. And it turned out that even reading the technical documentation, I missed some things that I didn't anticipate. So we've got this project open, and I want to show you what happened when I first. I'm familiar with this project. I built this Revit project myself, and this is the Revit file, and I've already got Enscape open over here. And so this is the file in Enscape, and hey, it looks great for rendering in real time. So I'm just going to go over here. There's a button inside of Enscape, and I'm going to open up Impact. And the location information should already be here. It's on the coast of North Carolina, single family residence, and it was wrapped up in 2023. And in my, caveman brain, I'm thinking, well, this is the most realistic view of the project that I want. This is where you would run your energy analysis. Um, Tell me, you guys, why is that a bad idea? Because we're going to find out why it's a bad idea in a moment, but explain it to us, Rod. Explain it,
Well,
Monica.
one of the key challenges in running in a model like this was that you have to understand what are essentially the spaces that you have. So it's about your envelope, but it's also about the interior spaces that are being created, and
Right.
having that as a cohesive geometry that is processed by the analysis engine, which is provided by IES out of Scotland, Integrated Environmental Solutions, use something called the
Right.
Apache
Right.
engine. So it's using their tool. So you have to feed their tool the right data. And one of those pieces of data is, well, what's your envelope? What's the interior spaces? Things like that.
Right.
And that's not easy to do. That is a lot of work on the part of an engineer typically using their software. So we want to
Yeah.
create an automated system for that. So we have what we call a voxel based system. We have an internal code term called Hestia that essentially figures out all of your rooms and spaces and creates a voxel like geometry that is inputted into the Apache engine for analysis. All
In
well and
seconds. I
good.
mean, this was like
Yeah.
less than a minute,
Yeah,
and it's
right. And
come
this
up
is
with
a
a number.
process that usually takes a lot of work, right? So much
Right.
work
Right.
that most
Right.
people don't even bother to do it. So the problem is, though, that it's not. It is a tool that's based off of assumptions, like any tool.
Right.
And when you start to get to more unusual geometry, particularly or building designs where you start to have a nice blending of the, you bringing the outside in type stuff,
Yep.
where you
Yep.
maybe have a lot of exterior spaces that aren't fully enclosed and things like that, that are but maybe under a
Yeah.
roof, the tool's going to
Right.
start to
Right.
get
Right.
very
Right.
confused.
I found
Um,
that out.
yeah, because
Yeah.
now you're trying to condition a porch. And as you can imagine, heating a porch over the winter is going to be very expensive.
Yeah. So looking at this number, this is about what I got at the beginning. 62 megawatt hours. 62 times 1,000 times 0.11 divided by 12.
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
it's a
That's
big
saying my
number.
energy bill is like $600 a month. And I'm like, well, that's not right. Something's weird with the
Yeah,
software.
something's weird with the software. But then again, I
And
also look at
that's
this
not what's
number and I'm
happening.
thinking, then again, a lot of buildings in the region aren't performing that well either. So that
Right,
was a
right, right,
little bit
right.
of the
So what's
challenge.
going on? Well, the thing is, part of it is I've got everything shown. I've got a lot of stuff that's not necessary for energy analysis. Um, there's furniture, there's equipment, there's stuff inside the building. An early iteration, I had doors open that were spilling into like. So one of the things is, as you say, there's these voxels that are being simulated inside of what it believes, what the software believes are spaces, but railings in effect can create spaces. This shading
Particularly when
device
you have a
is,
space that's under a roof. So if you have
yeah,
this
well, this
railing
is a
piece
roof
under a
over
roof,
here
yeah.
outside. So like that's throwing stuff off. So I submitted some issues, submitted this to the support team, and Helen, who's fantastic, the support team, she's like, oh, you got a lot of categories that don't need to be shown. So I went back to the design tool and went, okay, what do we really need to see? So here's all the design categories in Revit. And you could also turn off links. I think, Monica, you mentioned before that if you, this also is going to cause it, this also allows the software to generate faster when it doesn't have to consider categories that aren't important.
Yes, yes. The
Yeah.
fewer kind of extra geometry in the scene, the faster it'll run,
Yeah.
which
So
It
is
I'm
does
going to,
ignore Enscape assets, but there's a lot of other stuff you have in here beyond that.
I'm just going to start by turning everything off and then just turning on the categories we care about. So select all, deselect, select none. So what do we really care about? And that's curtain panels, curtain systems, curtain wall mullions. We care about doors, ceilings contain space, floors certainly do. Keep going, going, going. Roofs, walls, windows. Anything else that you think would matter from a calculations standpoint? This is a
No, and
thing.
that's one of the
Yeah.
key parts that people need to understand is in a webinar and whatnot, people say, well, does it matter if I have, say, some sort of particular piece of data in my BIM model and things like that?
Okay.
And the truth of the matter is that what we really are asking from your BIM model is we're really asking for that basic geometry and the
So it's basically
interior
walls,
partitions.
floors, roofs, ceilings, walls,
Yeah,
doors, and curtain
just
walls.
exactly, right? And
Am I
that's the
missing
basics.
anything, Monica? Is there anything else here that kind of doesn't make
um,
sense?
yeah, it all makes sense. I think you've kind of got everything as long as it's containing the spaces.
Okay. So we do that. Oof, a lot of stuff goes away, and yet there's still some pieces over here.
Yeah, you
Um,
still have a sort of a floating, I guess probably a floor element or something
yeah,
like
I'll tell
that.
you what. Well, there's an outdoor shower, and that's a containing space, but we don't need that. It's not a conditioned space. And then there's a storage room here that's not conditioned. And what I was starting to do earlier on was like, oh, I need to turn that stuff off. So grabbing things and hiding elements. And I thought, well, this is too complicated. Why don't we just build a section box around what we care about? So we'll grab that piece and we grab that piece. And then I've got a shortcut that builds a section box. And that's really all that we care about. Because that's going to turn off that storage room underneath. It's going to cut the shower. It gets rid of the decks,
Yeah,
right?
it's your
And
conditioned spaces.
yeah, and it's also turned off any furnishings or fixtures inside. We don't need those. And now what happens? It's going to reprocess the data and give us a number that's, oh my gosh, 20.67. So 21 times 0.11 times 1,000 divided by 12. Oh, now my energy bill is $190 a month. Yay. Great.
And
And I'm
there's
like,
there's
this is
two parts there.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But in my caveman brain, I'm thinking, oh, I should have a really nice rendering, and that's going to be the most accurate extension of analysis. And you guys came back and said, no, 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 you don't need all that stuff. It really just cares about the nice, clean geometry. It doesn't look like a building, but I mean, that's what you need for analysis. Is there anything else, Monica, that you think I should? I mean, turning off that stuff, you could do it you could do it with visibility graphics in Revit, or you can just use a section box to cut everything down. Um, but is there anything else? I mean, if someone, I guess the best practice here would be you go back to Revit, you save this view as your analytic view or your analysis view for impact, and then you just use that view when you need to. And
Yeah,
then it doesn't have to calculate everything.
yeah, I think the important distinction here is the kind of visualization model isn't appropriate necessarily for the building performance, which is what we've been kind of talking about.
Yeah, by a factor of
It's
three.
really only focused on the core spaces and, the very less pretty, you could say it, kind of visuals here. That's really
Right,
what it needs for, the model to run accurately and to give you an accurate rating and calculation on
right.
kind of your building's performance. And, when we show our models to kind of clients and customers and things like that, we really want it to look good and to look accurate, which isn't necessarily what is best for calculating building performance, unfortunately.
So, Rod, how does somebody, if they want to get started with a trial, what do they do?
Well, the nice thing is it's directly integrated into Enscape. So
Yep.
whether or not you've have purchased or downloaded or whatnot Impact, if you have Enscape, you're going to see that little building with a lightning bolt graphic that you clicked on up there at the
This one
top.
up here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and basically just let it rip. Give it a click, and you can start the trial. So it's all
So
embedded right in
starting
there.
impact starts the trial.
Yeah, it starts the trial, and I think what
Perfect.
is a trial is 2 weeks or something like
Yeah, yeah,
that, I
it's 14.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
14 days, and I think that gives someone a lot of time to run it on a multiple building types, look at the visual outputs. This is only looking at the dashboard view, but there also is the view to look at these results in the render view itself, so you can see
Right.
almost from like sort of an opacity layer of intensity. So you can say, okay, this is showing a lot of heating. Where exactly am I incurring that particular cost? And maybe you can start to
Yep.
think about the overall building design with respect to mitigating some of those energy impacts. But that's the easiest way. Just give it a try. And we really want to make this tool easy to use. And as you saw how quickly it was for you to get analysis results, I think that's the best part about it. The trial, it doesn't have to be something where you have to think too hard about it.
Yeah, the
Just
trial is
turn it.
fully functional. I mean, you've
Yeah.
got 2 weeks. Monica, if one of the things that you guys had mentioned is if you've got an aggregate site where it's like a campus project and you've got a lot of little buildings, the best practice should be, yeah, you can have everything in there for visualization purposes in Enscape, but you should probably have multiple views saved off with section boxes
Yeah,
around them in Revit.
isolate each building. Yeah,
Isolate multiple buildings. Okay. Don't try to run it as a multi-building project. Isolate them, and you'll have impact results for each of the buildings and each of the views as you drive Enscape from those views.
yeah. It'll give you much better, not only faster calculations, but
Yep.
also much more accurate if it's focused on just individual buildings as opposed to a whole kind of site.
Perfect. You guys, thank you so much. I know this was short notice. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to put this presentation and best practice webinar together. If people have questions, they're going to email the support team or they go through regular channels for support. And
And
that's
with the
it.
forum is another
Oh, yeah,
place
yeah, the
too.
forum.
It's being actively monitored. A great place to either post success stories or challenges people might be facing and receive some feedback there as well.
Thank you very much. Rod, Monica, keep doing great work. This is beautiful. There's lots of rendering tools in the world, but I don't know of one that also integrates energy analysis. So this is a
One of one
wonderful
right here.
direction. Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of one. Thank you so much. Have a great day, you guys.
Thank you.